to do like a tune rather than people hear us.
Well, then we're just sitting back, picking our noses, basically.
Yeah.
We can't talk to each other. No jokes.
No, there's got to be a solution.
There's
where
ways to do that. Yeah, where you
Yeah,
go live,
have a
you
tune.
hit the go live button. Oh,
Well,
We'll figure it out.
we can figure that out. And
2021.
yeah, there you go. I was thinking more like 23, but
we'll be here before you know it, Alex.
that's true.
I hate to say it, but
Yeah, I do keep thinking about, like, if this year was characterized by any month, it would have been March. And it's very easy to remember March. And then the rest of the year is just kind of, ooh, where'd it go?
Well, your days gonna go by. Your years are going to go by faster now with 3 kids running around.
This is true.
that was my last flight. Was beginning of March. My last trip was to Chicago by train, middle of March, and then my last work dinner, was with the dealer teamwork guys here in Detroit at a Red Lobster.
Did you get all you could eat?
I got the biscuits.
It's the best part of going there.
And then everything got shut down the next day. It was pretty funny.
Oh man, your last meal was Red Lobster.
It was. Yep.
I don't know to say sorry or wow. That's very American of you. Good job.
Very American. Otherwise, I've just been sitting behind this desk every day in a pair of sweats and a t-shirt and a hat.
I thought you were going to say a shirt and nothing underneath.
Yes, I guess. Glad you put the sweats on for us today, Cliff. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, 25 seconds. I can see we've already got Drew Mint and Gary May hitting the comments.
Gary, I have to call you. He called me yesterday. I didn't return his call yet.
That's exactly what he's saying. You're a giant. No, he didn't say that. He said you owe him a call. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Now they can see us. So, Friday, last Friday for Refresh Friday of 2020. And that's only because of the way the calendar shapes up. It's not because we're being lazy and taking the rest of the year off.
Maybe it is.
Speak for yourself, Alex.
Good seeing you, Cliff.
Good seeing you guys. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has.
A man who needs no introduction here.
For sure.
Yeah, so Cliff, when was the last time you were on? It's been, it's definitely been over a year. I
think it has been.
I've lost track.
Especially with this year.
Yeah.
I was thinking, or actually, Jeff and I were talking about this. It'd be cool if we could make you the final guest of the year every year. Close Refresh Friday down.
And we'll see how this goes today.
Okay, sure. I have a good feeling. No. Hopefully we don't make you too uncomfortable.
No. It's just whether I bring the goods or not. That's the question. That's what I was.
Oh, no. You're always good on that side.
Which you're allowed to talk about and not allowed to talk about.
Well, that's true, too. Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that you're not allowed to talk about?
No. I mean, we'll see another deal announcement probably before the end of the year. That's been completed, but we're just waiting on that. It'll be pretty noteworthy. But other than that, I don't think really anything earth-shattering.
Well, how's this year been for you?
Probably similar to a lot of people. I'm in a little bit of a different spot, though. the travel, not traveling makes it a little bit of a challenge at times because so much of what I do is face to face and in person. But just learning how to adjust to that has been interesting. And then, I'm a road warrior. I love travel. So,
well, I was going to say, when was the last time you were on a plane?
1st of March, and then then my last trip was to Chicago by train. And that was the week everything got shut down. So,
and then you got a Red Lobster dinner in there.
I did, yes. Which was actually really good. It was fine. It was funny leaving Chicago, leaving my hotel that morning. It was that Wednesday morning, and I got into an Uber, and it ended up being an Uber pool. And there was a guy sitting next to me, and he was obviously sick with cold or something. And I just remember thinking, it was early in the morning. It was like 4:30 in the morning or so, and I'm thinking, man, I'm going to get this is really stupid, Cliff. Why did you do this?
Next stop, Costco for toilet paper, right?
Yeah, but it worked out. That was funny.
Well, we're glad you're here and made it through whatever that was. So,
well, look at you guys, new child, Alex, and company's going well.
Yeah, new baby girl.
Yep, she's keeping us up.
Is she?
Oh yeah, I got my coffee right here. It doesn't stop. Might need espresso shots though for get through the rest of the show. But so Cliff, you already jumped on the acquisition train, and that was one of the first questions we had for you. But not necessarily how the year was going to end with them, but how drastically did things change since March, since COVID hit? Did it change that at all?
Certainly for a while it did. It shut everything down through June, July. Even on the dealer buy sell stuff, we started seeing it come back in July. Now it's back in full force. And we'll be back to normal numbers. Actually, we already are right now. So, except for that lull, and ironically, I mean, the automotive retail space, I think one of the big stories coming out of this year is going to be how it took the gut punch, took the chicken in the wherever, and we recovered, and here we are, and the dealers are doing fine profitably. Sales are not where they were, but that's not a bad thing actually, because we've seen the margins go up, and some of the, I think in March and April where we were, and even May, thinking, wow, we've got Armageddon upon us, and we're seeing CarStory getting $120 million, Bruce Thompson car offer valuation at $275 million. And there have been some really good deals, and then just the whole SPAC phenomenon that's going on right now. Whether that long term is sustainable, we'll see. But certainly on the used car side, we're seeing significant acquisition or investment flows. And some of the startups that I was somewhat worried about are small startups have found a way to really not just stay in business, but expand. There's some interesting ones that I'm watching closely that I like. I think Drivably just recently received investment from Porsche Ventures. And Drivably helps dealers source used vehicles from inventory from private sellers. And they received a nice check from an OEM investment firm. Draver's another one. Anthony Montero started this earlier. Jumping in where there's a need, and in terms of not just vehicle delivery, but overall shipping and overall either subscription play or fleet management, having leveraging outside players to come in and jump on a platform that dealers can use to manage those parts of their operation much more effectively and even maybe profitably. So, and those are just two of many examples that I've seen. I think I think 8 months ago, 10 months ago, you may have been thinking a little bit differently.
You mentioned the CarStory acquisition from Vroom. Was that something you called? I mean, you typically,
Oh yeah, well, yeah,
you're typically able to predict these things.
I've written at length about CarStory, about potential players, and one by one they were getting knocked off, potential buyers. They've been involved with Vroom for 2 years, and I think that was a relationship that made a lot of sense. The investment bank on that deal, Porgo, has a real close relationship with Vroom also, and I think it made a lot of sense for Vroom. They've been partnered using CarStory's data and solutions for about 2 years now. So that was one that was a likely buyer too. So.
Yeah. I didn't see that one coming.
I like Ryan Leslie here.
We kept our relationship very quiet. I think Vroom wanted to also, but it's a deal that makes a lot of sense. And kudos to John Price and the team there. Took a while. I mean, that you guys, that play very well, Jeff. I mean, but good guys and not marketers. They're not real big self-promoters, but they built a real nice technology stack there.
Yep. Been around for quite some time.
Yes, different iterations for sure, but
So I wonder if their services will still be available to dealerships, or if Vroom would just be like, close everything off and just keep their technology exclusive to them.
You got a term, but I'm guessing just based on a couple of things that have been said, not to me, but even in the press. I think a recent Forbes article. There'll be some elements that are available to other dealers, but certainly I think Vroom sees this as a significant competitive advantage for them. But although not the bottom line, I mean, they've said nothing in 2021 really won't be accretive to their earnings or anything. But it's one of the technology plays I think is going to help them out.
It might take a while for us to see the combination of that technology with Vroom, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, now, like I said, they've been partnering for 2 years, so they know each other well. Vroom's already been using it. But yeah, I think there's always a lag time between acquisition and the actual.
Yeah, well, the reason I was saying that is because of Rick Buffkin comment here, and he was saying that the CarMax and Edmunds partnership's been pretty quiet since that occurred.
Yes, that has been actually. Yeah, I'm speculating. I'm only speculating here. I'm not speaking for anything that I know, but we'll see how that plays out. Remember, AutoNation invested in Vroom, and it turned out to be really only an investment, nothing else really. Lithia invested in Shift. That in turn really became an investment and not much else. And both of those went off on their own. I'm not saying Edmunds is going to be in the CarMax deal is the same play, but I would not be surprised to see CarMax offload Edmunds or offload their investment at some point there.
Interesting.
I think there was, it wasn't a huge deal with CarMax. We'll see. I mean, obviously 2020 probably changed a lot of things still. We may not see anything for a little while.
So what's the hot acquisition technology? Is it like, the big companies are looking at things out there right now. Do you see any trends? Are they going after like a digital retailing tool now to add to their arsenal, or what's happening?
Well, I don't know. Let's look at the strategic players, and they all have their own tools, or they've been offloading them, right? CDK offloaded theirs, essentially. Well, maybe not their digital, but their whole digital advertising play. Modal just received $15 million from Honda. When I say just, it happened this year. That was earlier. I mean, I think that investment, because I've been hearing about it for a while before it was made public. But I don't know. At some point, that digital retailing play, there's how many companies with some type of solution?
30.
It's musical chairs. I mean, the money's going to run out at some point. It is interesting seeing the manufacturers making bets on some of these plays. JLR with Digital Motors. We got American Honda with Modal. We'll see with Roadster. And I hear a lot of these companies have been out eating the ground looking for investment money. So we'll see if there's any more announcements. That's pretty telling. If we don't hear of any with some of these companies in the next 6 months, and you have to look at exits too. People leaving these companies. That's always an indication. So as a dealer, I would say you just have to be. One of the things that I would focus on when I'm evaluating a partner is their investment play. Who their investors are, where they are in terms of capital, and that'll tell you a lot about the company. Also look at employee churn. That'll give you some idea as to whether they're going to be a long-term player.
Well, that's an interesting point. So I don't hear that come up too often from dealers. Who's invested in your company? It's just not a question that usually gets thrown at a sales team.
That'd probably be my first question. Actually.
Yeah, that's a great one. It's a really good
because
one.
it tells you a lot. And you do some research on the history, on what that investor is like, what kind of play, and I think that any bit of information you can get if you're looking, because you as a dealer are making a big investment in terms of direction, your employees, training, financially, and with your customers, and you really these are not plug and play type things, type solutions, right? So you got to pick the right partner. And listen, I think they're all great tools, and several great tools out there. Maybe some may be great in one area, not so great in another. But look at the dealership, figure out what the culture is, but again, knowing the financial strength and backing of these companies, I think is probably the first thing I'm looking at.
It's a good one. So probably don't want to get into business with anyone who's got Brockman investing in them, right?
That story. Brockman. Yeah. A couple of things that strike me from that story, and I read the indictment. 39 counts. There's 22 million pages of documents.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you the feds have every text message, phone call, transcript. They were, probably tapping phones, listening to phone calls, emails. I'm sure I'm on a few transcripts. Did
you get a knock on the door?
No. But one of the things that to me is striking, honestly, this is, I knew the relationship between him and Robert Smith. And Robert Smith is a gentleman who owns VIZA Equity, that in turn owns DealerSocket and Solera, MPI, DMI. So, Brockman was the one that funded VIZA Equity at the very beginning, convinced Robert Smith to set up the tax structures overseas and all of these offshore accounts to hide money. And this is all based on the indictment, so we'll just put that word allegedly as a caveat there. But but it's pretty clear that the feds have the goods here. So Robert Smith is going to testify against Bob Brockman if there's a trial. But how closely the two were interwoven, and I knew they were close, but how closely the financial structures are. I think it'll be interesting to see when, if there is a trial, some of these documents and financial documents for these companies. But Robert Smith is, for now, skating. He's not going to jail. He's paying the fines and has 5 years where basically he has to do whatever the government tells him to do and say whatever they want him to say. Now, so I think the question becomes really what happens to Reynolds and Reynolds, and as a dealer or an employee, I'd be really curious with that. I don't think this really damages Reynolds at all. We may see some high-level execs leave the company over the next few months, but in reality, it's a very strong company still. No indication yet that any execs were tied up or involved with any of the financial shenanigans. There's a lot of good people at Reynolds, a lot of good people. And it's a strong company. It's one of the most profitable, if not the most profitable company in our industry. Long-term contracts. Reynolds is not going anywhere. I think it's a perfect play for a hedge fund at some point. But it's going to be business as usual. I think. I don't think there's going to be any collapse or anything along those lines.
Yeah, it might be with long-term contracts. Might be a good play for a 401k fund. But so on the topic of lawsuits. And this is another one from Rick. Let me throw it up on the screen. And this was one we were going to ask later, too. Any news on the Authenticom side?
Yes. So Authenticom settled with CDK.
They settled.
What's that?
You said they settled?
Yeah, they settled with CDK a few months ago. Now, the lawsuits are all in what's called multi-district litigation in northern in the northern district in Illinois. They've not yet settled with Reynolds. I thought actually there would be a settlement with Reynolds coming. However, on November 20th, Reynolds filed another response to Authenticom's complaint and is showing no signs of backing down here. There's been some movement with, I think, some attorneys moving around, but other than that, I don't know. I don't know if there's any conversations going on regarding settlement with Reynolds. It seems that for a while that whole era of charging for access, high fees for access, is going away. I think it's still going to be with us for a while. I know of one vendor right now. I just saw a contract a couple of weeks ago regarding a certain vendor that's the dealers on Reynolds, and they're charging the dealer it's $900 and some a month per rooftop for access. So that's what they're getting.
Come on.
They're not supposed to share that with you, Cliff. That's part of the contract, isn't it?
Well,
it's not saying who it was.
No, but and then I had another large vendor call me regarding CDK and just asked me, "Are you seeing this? Are you seeing any reduction from any other company or any other companies, showing a reduction in these fees?" And yeah, there are, but I think with CDK's case, they have to manage that move away from that revenue pretty carefully. So I think there is going to be it's not going to be overnight. I think there's going to be a change, and as they move more revenue to Fortellus, if they are able to do that, or some other things. CDK is selling its international business for $1.4 billion. That gets so they'll give it some much needed cash. I think third quarter. It'll fiscal year this coming year in 2025 by June it'll be done. So they'll have money. Have some cash for either some acquisitions, paying off debt, stock buyback, the normal stuff. But it does position it. I think it will position it much easier for a sale at some point.
Interesting.
So it got rid of the digital advertising business. It's getting rid of the international business, and now it's just focused on North America and its core products.
Why get rid of the international business?
International is tough. I mean, it's draining on the margin. none of them. No one that's tried to play in the international side. Reynolds, Cox, Dealertrack. It's not worked out. One reason, you just look at Europe. You don't have the number of dealerships that'll make it profitable. In terms of, you might have 5 here in this province in Germany, and then you got 5 in France, and each speak a different language, and each have the different rules, and it's hard to scale up. I mean, Canada even has similar challenges to some extent. So it's just hard to do. It's harder to do business profitably over there. Plus, I think the era of COVID, but yeah,
I always hear the profit margins aren't near as high as they are here in the States.
They don't pay the same for these products.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, and we'll see. I mean, I probably 4 or 5 years ago would have thought by now Reynolds and CDK would have been sold, but I'm going to give that another year or two. I think now with Reynolds, you got to see what happens with the Brockman trial, which doesn't start till September, if that even gets started. I mean, his defense attorneys are trying to get it tossed due to reduced mental capacity. He has several health issues.
This is an interesting statement here from NIF. So he says hello earlier, but
yes.
But it sounds like NIF, and this is a move by a lot of the larger dealer groups right now, is to build their own data platforms and to try and own as much of their own data as possible, and then splice that together in ways that can be customized to their own needs. It's an interesting move.
It's what Germain has done to some extent with the Outsell, which was an intriguing play. I have been saying and writing for 5-6 years now that the industry does need a data platform in their house that is unique to automotive retail, and we're nowhere close to that yet. And it's the time is coming. I still think we probably have 3 to 5 years as an industry before it becomes, well, I would say mission critical, but we're getting there. And that's going to be driven a lot by the connected vehicle and the connected vehicle platforms. They're going to have to interact, engage with the dealers some along with no player from the dealer side. Then, I think it becomes a matter of survival for dealers too.
Wow. Well, taking this back to an early part, so wasn't expecting to jump into Vista as early as we did there. That's okay. So I haven't heard about this in a while, but there was, or maybe there still is, some little riff between Jonathan Ord and.
Oh yeah, no, that was settled last January, March, February.
Okay, I'm way out of it then.
I think the end result was Dealer Socket received a nice recapitalization from Vista and has a nice chunk of cash to play with right now. I think we're going to see them adding to the team. They've already been making moves like that, so I think. We may see some more plays from them, but yeah, that has been completely settled.
All right, so I'm a year behind on that one. Got it.
Yeah, my guess is going to want to get Dealer Socket to that $1 billion valuation, and then offload it.
How close is it to that?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably not terribly far off.
Okay.
And then when you see some of the valuations now,
I mean,
they're out.
So you think they're over $300 million in annual revenue?
Yeah, we'll see. I actually had the numbers last year. I actually knew what the numbers were. I don't know off the top of my head right now, but they were playing around with valuation considerably last year. They turned down a nice chunk of cash earlier, huge chunk. And it wasn't too far off that $1 billion number.
Okay.
So there, I would give it another couple of years, probably. I would let give Tony Graham a chance to build his team and to believe his imprint on it. And Tony knows the space well. He'll do, I think he'll do a good job, and hopefully get it back to the focus of the dealers. Look, Vista's a little bit wounded right now, I think, just reputation-wise. So probably not in as strong a position to dictate things as they were in the past.
Gotcha. Well, we've touched on Reynolds, CDK, Vista. We're missing one. How about Cox?
Cox.
We'll see. New president, CEO there. Mid-January, they're going to start rolling out, I think, making announcements as to products and solutions, and I think we'll see a direction. They probably, I would have guessed, have just gone through another strategy review in the last couple months. I think COVID has changed some of their thinking or some of their plans regarding mobility, at least timing-wise. So, we'll see.
Yeah, sitting up here in Vermont, we get to be a little close to things that are happening at Dealer.com. I know that they're looking for someone else to head that up in 21.
Right.
But and I hope they look back at a guy named Jay Macker, who would be excellent for that, in my opinion. But that's who might say. So, but there's also been talk of them potentially following CDK's direction and selling off the digital end of the media suite.
There's been talk about that. Yes. Nothing would surprise me if something were to happen. But again, I would pay close attention to them. From January to February, throughout, including NADA, their whole Cox experience play leading up to NADA. I think we'll start seeing some indications of where they're heading. As much by what they don't say as what they do say.
Well, they're private, so they don't have to say anything.
That is true.
Yep. We do have that luxury. And then the Cars.com, or Cars now. So.
Cars.
Yep.
Yes.
Stock's been going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they broke the 13. I think they're back down to 12 something, right? 12.95, or last time I looked today. But they're slowly climbing. I think that's, you get as an investor, you get in. That's it. That's going to be a long. When I say the long run, I'm over the next several months to a year. But they are very measured in terms of strategy and moves that they think they need to make or want to make. They're not going to go out and do a stupid deal or do a deal just for the sake of doing a deal to satisfy investors. So I think for Alex Vetter, he's going to do what's best. Yeah, look, these companies all have, they all have that legacy of being that third party listings, classified listing site. You got the Auto Trader, True Car, right? But look, they're remaking the business of cars, and they've got some interesting plays from a financial perspective that they're making that I think is going to really improve their bottom line. We've already seen it. I think the battle within the car gurus is fascinating, but I as a customer, as someone who buys cars, I'll tell you, when I'm buying a used car, I would not buy a used car without using Cars.com or Auto Trader. I just wouldn't. You just cannot provide, I think, for a customer or a car shopper what they provide. I mean, everything is right there at your fingertips. There's no dealer.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and the brand name is too strong.
Yeah. I think it's where the customers are. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and look, we can argue all day about what value that is for the dealer, and the dealer has to determine that, but by what they're willing to pay. But at some point, that's where the customers are, and if your inventory's not in there, I'm not going to see you.
Yeah, I got their stock at just over $7 several months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just shy of $13 right now.
Right. Yeah, and it broke the $13 mark the other day. So Car Gurus is going up, but again, I think it's who can. I think from a dealer perspective, who's going to be able to tell that story to the dealer and maintain that relationship with the dealer too.
Well, do you see any other listing sites sort of coming out of nowhere? I mean, we've got AutoTrader, we got Cars.com, Car Gurus. They're really the top three. Am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anyone. I mean, you've got some smaller entities out there, but
you got niche things like Roto. That's what was their name before?
Roto.
It was the leasing platform out of New York.
Yes.
I forget the.
Yeah, Nate's company. But anyway, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. There's companies like that. I know I'm missing. Something that's out there, but
what's the other one that's it's not Cars, obviously, but I know it's got the word car in it, of course. Don't they all? I don't know. It might come to me, but they're always pushing me to sign up. It's really, really cheap, and I know they're all through the States, and I'm surprised they haven't taken off. I'll try and remember the name.
Cars and Bids was something Ryan Leslie just asked or threw out there.
No.
It's a lot of cool little auction sites coming up, though, and I don't mean like like actual dealer auctions. I mean more like eBay for the consumer stuff. And
right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some they specialize in some really cool cars. So if you're a car guy,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't hear much about eBay anymore. Do you? At least not on the automotive side.
Only when you want to pay double for a PlayStation 5.
Triple.
Yeah, they had that whole thing. I think there's, and bear with me, I'm trying to remember now. They had the whole thing with the classified listing site being spun off in Europe. Wow, I should have reviewed on that one.
Well, there's been a few, like CarsForSale.com.
I think there's going to be a North American play there. That might make sense, but so far it hasn't materialized.
Well, a lot of people are throwing out CarsForSale.com.
That's exactly who I was trying to think about. Yeah.
Right.
It's Cars for Sale.
And I know, so there's another question here about Walmart and Costco, and I believe there's they're going their own direction, working with well, I don't know if it's Walmart or Costco. I think it's Walmart, but they're working with a longtime player in the space and doing some cool stuff over there. I like the technology. It's a really neat full-on digital retailing component where you can actually do contracting and truly do it, not just bullshit it. So that'd be one to watch. I don't know how much I can disclose on that front, though. I don't know if that deal is all the way done.
Well, we got a play. Someone here in Detroit, well-known name that not so much in automotive, but we're going to start seeing a lot more from them. Maybe that the walls are coming down on some of these inventory aggregating type sites. Obviously, the automakers. And again, I'm skeptical whenever, Ford launched theirs this fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just I just remember GM's play. That was never got out of the driveway. How many years ago was that?
Like click buy or something.
Yeah. Well, no, there was another one that was used car only that they were playing with, and it launched to great fanfare, and then nothing ever came of it. I'm sure someone watching this can remember the name. But yeah, so I think as we look to 2021, there's going to be continued movement in that used car inventory space. Both from the auction side, we see ACV auctions, which could do an IPO this year coming up. Certainly Bruce Thompson's car offer got picked up by Car Gurus. So we're going to continue to see those plays. Scott Painter is still, this just announced this morning that next car, his newest company, whatever it is, has just signed a partnership deal for $400 million in capital from Westlake Financial. So, we're going to continue to see plays out there. Shift, Vroom, where those end up. And not only that, now you have Lithia, Asbury, Sonic coming out with legitimate national used car plays, or at least regional, but Lithia is certainly going to be a national play. What impact does that have on Carvana?
Right. Facebook is making a move there too.
AIA. Yeah, what does Google? What does Google decide? Do they pull the trigger at some point? These are some of these things we've been talking about for years. Facebook, Google, we've been talking about for quite a few years. Google, 15 years.
We're all still waiting for Amazon.
We are still waiting for Amazon. I still think that's more of a digital advertising plan.
And Microsoft. Maybe they'll enter the DMS market in 21. We'll see.
You're not wrong there. Now, if I'm looking at the landscape, DMS landscape today, and I'm looking at deciding who I'm going to buy, I think it depends on what my goals are. If I'm looking for innovation and long-term future, I'm kind of hard work. Very hard work. Looking at the new player.
You broke up there, so we didn't actually hear the meat of what you were saying.
I would be looking at Techion. CDK also, maybe, just because of Fortellis. If I'm a hedge fund looking at strictly how much money can I make play for quite a few years, I'm looking at Reynolds, because I'm thinking you can pick up you can pick it up for $6 to $8 billion, and you probably got a nice 7 to 10 year run where you're still making $1 billion in profit a year. You don't have to do anything with the company. You leave the management team in place and operate as is, and take the paycheck or take the check every year.
Yeah, enjoy that 13-year contract.
Yeah. So, but Techion right now, and they just announced this week that they signed FCA, in terms of not signed, but at least getting the integration certified, the certification from FCA. They should have all the OEM certifications by the end of the first quarter. And I know of a couple of large groups that have said that once they have that all the certifications, they're bringing them in. So we'll hear a lot more from them. But again, that's a long play. But certainly, I think with Microsoft and Oracle and IBM, SAP, Salesforce could look at any of those companies and pull the trigger today, because the perception is the walls are coming down in this space, and as the industry moves closer to a more of an API as opposed to direct integration play on the data, then it becomes easier for these companies to operate in this space. So I still give that. I'm still looking at a 5 to 10 year window before we really start seeing the implications there. The other thing I wanted to mention is, if you look back on 2020, what I think the biggest story as we look back may end up being Toyota's announcement last week that they think they've broken the solid state battery code, and that they're going to have a prototype with solid state battery technology on the road this year. I mean, in 2021, and in production by 2025. That could be the biggest story in the industry. And
aware of that.
Huge story too, because solid state battery technology theoretically is going to significantly reduce charging times to 10 minutes, extend the range of these vehicles significantly also. So if that is the case, and when we see that working in real world conditions, then that makes it much easier for the consumer to make that purchase. You see GM investing $30 or $27 billion right now in bringing 20 EVs to the U.S. here over the next 5 years. Volkswagen's dropping $37 billion into it. Daimler saying they're going all electric and are going to reduce the size of their company, but become solely an EV company. We'll see if this happens, but it seems to be happening a lot faster than someone like myself had thought even 8 months ago. So my word to dealers, I was on a call a few weeks ago with car dealers, some large groups, and my response when I was asked whether I was a bull or bear was, it depends. If I'm a dealer that has capital or access to capital, and I'm young enough with enough fire in my gut and my belly to adapt to these changes and to grow and expand, I'm a bull. But I'll tell you, if I don't have that capital or access to it, and I'm a little bit older, I'm thinking right now is the best time to sell. The valuations we're seeing are very high, and there's a lot of activity going on, a lot of motion and movement. Now's a good time to probably exit.
Yeah. Speaking of EVs, my grandfather always said that once those things can go 500 miles, that's when the combustion motor or the combustion engine, let me be technically right, is done.
Well, I think it's also time of charging times also.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about 10 minutes, and he just assumed that they'd figure that part out.
Right. Well, it's very hard. I think technologically we haven't been able to get there to this point. But if the solid state battery potential and the promise of that is true, then we'll be there within a couple of years. So yeah, Alex. Now, what does that do to the industry? Certainly we have all of these EV specs that have come in. I mean, Rivian. Who knows how many others right now that are out there? They're every day you read of another one. I think very few of them are going to be looking at the typical retail model, and I would think that at some point the franchise laws as we know them today are not going to be the franchise laws we see within a decade.
I was going to say, how long do you think that'll take?
Well, it's going to take a while because it's just legislatively things move slow, right? You look at the state of Texas, which meets every other year. Okay, so each state has its own personality and challenges or whatever. Some of the association directors are better than others, but I don't know that dealers can rely anymore on the Republican conservative wing to help. That up until 10 years ago, that was a given, but once the recession hit, and then there's been a growing tendency among conservative players to classify dealers as protectionist, kind of mob, cartel type players because of the state franchise laws. So they're showing a I think, disappointingly lack of understanding of the dynamics of our industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, yeah. And look, we see General Motors starting to play hardball. I mean, they're giving Cadillac dealers money to go away if they don't want to play ball, but they're not giving it to GMC dealers. So you're going to see a lot of different plays from the OEM side of the business over the next few years on the EV side. So that's another reason why I'm saying it. But depending where you are as a dealer, it's either now or, don't miss your window. Yeah. Get out,
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. So maybe something a little closer. 21. What do you see coming in Q1 here, Cliff? And any changes for any new directions, anything like that?
No.
How do you see NADA playing out?
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, clearly NADA is not going to be what any of us want it to be. I've had this conversation with multiple companies over the last few weeks too, are trying to figure out what their NADA plans are going to be. And I'm just like, look, it's a pandemic year, right? It's just be a good corporate citizen, pay the money, write the check, play ball, and we'll get back at it next, in another year. But NADA has a vital role in our industry. I know some people are going to disagree with me about how effective they are, but listen, we're going to need NADA more than ever. New administration coming in, you got the specter of the CFPB being rejuvenated, and coming back strong. You're going to need NADA now more than ever. And it's not going to be a visible, vocal NADA that's spouting off about their victories. They are going to be on Capitol Hill, in those offices, in those agencies, day after day, fighting those battles. And that's what they do very effectively. We've been very effective at it. They don't talk about their successes. They can't, because it's spiking the ball. It's rubbing your people facing it. Plus, they play walk a very fine line with the FTC, Department of Justice. But we need a strong NADA, and I think it'll be interesting to see with new leadership, at the top, which direction they ultimately go in. But I think I would just think that, regardless of how the convention looks this year, and we can all sit back and take podcasts and it's stupid. It's going to be well, okay, right? It's not going to be what we're used to. And if you think you're going in as a company, you're going to sign up a bunch of deals like you've done in the past, probably not happening. Okay, you're going to have to work a lot harder on the front end and on the back end, I think, to get that any kind of return on investment on that. But the fact is, I think this is the time that, and I'm not one for a lot of the, the corny stuff and the shucks, because business is business. But listen, we are going to be dealing with a new administration, and we don't know what that devil looks like. Now, I probably should use a different word, but we don't. It's
been there for 50 years. We know exactly what it looks like.
Better the devil you know than the one you don't. Well, maybe we do know, right? So I guess I'm not as concerned about how NADA is going to look or how it's going to come off this year. It is what it's unfortunate for them. They're going to take a big financial hit, I'm sure. None of us want to be in this position, right?
But you make a great point, Cliff. Despite what the conference is going to be, and I'm going to take up this mantle with you because I totally agree with you. We need NADA big time going through the next couple of years, and we'll especially need it if EVs becomes something that the manufacturers of the EVs decide they don't need dealers for.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm saying, look, I think it all is in our best interest to participate as much as possible. We've all been, I think many of us have been more profitable than we thought this year. I see Ryan's asking about smaller industry conferences. Yeah, look, it's hard. I was talking with you guys before we went live just about Autovate, and I haven't pulled the trigger on that one just yet because, I'm stupid, and there's some element of that. But I haven't been able to. I really haven't felt comfortable yet with a model that I think is going to be fair to everyone, to attendees and whatnot. So, but I would say there have been some conversations. People have worked. We just put in incredible hours of trying to put together good conferences, virtual conferences in this industry. And I don't want to denigrate any of that work. We're all learning this together. I mean, granted, I can't sit in front of a computer screen and Zoom. And I've attended a lot of these conferences, but I check out after a little bit. I mean, it's just, but even that, ones that are shorter like this, I think are better suited. But again, guys like me, how do you make money on that stuff, right? I'm not going to charge someone $900 to come to my conference. I'm not going to charge them anything, probably. So, you got to rely on sponsors, but then the return on investment, so isn't there like it may have been in the past. So I'm just going to hunker down maybe fall of this year, of 2021. But in terms of what you're saying, what do we expect going into 2021? I don't think it's going to be much different than what we've had over the last 3-4 months. The vaccine is going to take some time to roll out. And it just depends on the virus. I mean, I'm told it. If it hangs around through the summer, we're still going to be dealing with this, with a lot of the stuff going into next, going into the third, fourth quarter. If it slows down, then maybe we can get back to some semblance of travel and some other things. But again, the car dealer, I think right now we've seen car dealers have been resilient. The industry's resilient. Car sales are there. Whether automakers come back with inventory, pushing inventory like we did in the past, staying within what we've seen the last couple of months, less inventory means more profit. I think it just depends on what kind of pressure we start getting, at the plant level, investor level. Keep in mind, some of these plants are, if we see much, less inventory than what we do today or than what we have historically, these plants are going to go. A lot of these plants are going to go away. And those are employers and support, and keep some of these towns afloat. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. If you go back to that, but let's ride that profitability wave as long as we can. I mean, it's been great the last several months, right? For most dealers.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Hadn't thought about the manufacturers shutting down plants, though. So that's well,
I drive past, I get on the Ohio Turnpike, every once in a while I drive through Lordstown and see the big, you see Honda's plant in Marysville down there in Ohio, and GM's plant at Lordstown, which is no longer GM's plant now. So, they were able to sell it. You got that SPAC, the EV SPAC in there, and whether that's going to be successful remains to be seen. But you just think about all the cottage businesses surrounding a plant. You have other suppliers. You've got landscapers, restaurants. These things are important to their local communities, and if they go away, it's not good for overall. Now, it may look better on the bottom line for some of these companies, but again, that's not always. I think it's great to have plants running. And who cares if we're having to throw some incentives on vehicles to move the metal, or we got to rely on very creative dealer network to move some of that metal. Okay, fine. I mean, keeps people employed, keeps the economy moving. We're a consumer-based economy. You know, can we sell another 500,000 vehicles? Let's go for this. You know.
Well, how about something positive? So,
well, I think the positive story is we're not out of business. We're not facing Armageddon. We've survived in a very difficult environment. Dealers proved again and again their resiliency and their creativity at getting cars sold. Right? You think back to March 20th in April, where we thought we were going to be today as opposed to where we actually are. The world of difference. I mean, in these dealer buy sells, I mean, look at the valuations and some of the prices that are being paid for these. We never would have thought that 6 months ago.
True.
So, you know, I think we've seen a wave of investment coming in. You asked me, I don't know if I truly answered the question. You did ask me if I thought, you know, or where I thought the investment money was going right now in our space with kind of technologies. And I obviously use cars, but I think we are in a downturn or a holding pattern on true innovation. I don't think that's going to happen till we see the connected vehicle come in, and then I think we'll see a new wave. But until then, it's basically what we have now, and refining those solutions and those best practices, especially with digital retailing, you know, and financing products. But until we see the connected vehicle, I think that's when we'll see a whole new wave of innovation.
Hey Google, drive my car.
Well, you know, I spoke at the American Financial Services Association conference at NADA this year, and I started off with a vision. I said, whether it's 10, 12, 15 years from now, but I'm returning from NADA. I get into my car at the Detroit airport. You're with me. You get in the car, passenger seat, and I turn it, fire up the ignition in the vehicle. It says, "Welcome home, Cliff. Traffic home, you know, is normal. By the way, you're going to need new front brakes in a month. ABC Motors has a slot open at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Would you like to set an appointment?" Yes. Would you like a loaner vehicle? No. How about Uber or Lyft? I'll take an Uber. Great. Okay. Now think about this. All the work's been done by the vehicle. Already look at my calendar. Let's look at dealership service calendar. It's already checked to make sure the parts are going to be there. Shipping company, the supplier, Uber, make sure that, you know, I pull into that service department and the Uber vehicle's there. I have the concierge with a smile handing me a Diet Coke, and, you know, or they come to pick up the vehicle for me. Who knows? I mean, there's any number of ways you can solve that. But the fact is, I think the vehicle becomes that data center and that hub, and you need the platform, the API driven platforms to make that happen. And we're starting to see some of that already with some of the OEMs, luxury OEMs, that are already sending that service information to the dealer. But I think it's going to be left, you know, you can leave that in the customer's hands. Let me make the decision. You know.
Yeah, we're getting that at Mercedes-Benz right now.
Yeah.
Customers can go ahead and schedule their service right through the car.
Yeah. So we're going to see much more of that in the future.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You could do that with Draver right now.
Yes, Draver is one of the platforms that's very intriguing because they're bringing all of that together: the shipper, the supplier, the parts, the ride-hailing companies, the fleet companies. So, and it goes beyond just the customer; it's also operationally for the dealer. You know, in terms of moving vehicles around from dealership to dealership. So, yeah, that one is. I think that one's intriguing.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, 21 right around the corner, and keep fighting, everybody. The good fight. The disruption in the space, as Cliff believes, is coming from the EVs. and we have no idea how far that can go.
Connected cars.
Yeah, connected cars. Yep.
Yeah.
So nothing from technologies that dealers use in their operations or their marketing.
Well, yeah. Listen, there's so much noise surrounding Facebook and Google. Lawsuit. 30 states filed a lawsuit against Google the other night and Facebook for anti-competitive practices. We'll see how that works out. On the search realm also. I think Facebook's a legitimate place for dealers to be putting their inventory, but you got to watch it closely. I mean, there's ups and downs with that, right? It's hard to make predictions in that space, I think.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I think you got to stay on top of it and adjust and adapt, as necessary. It makes it harder to pick the right partners today, though, obviously. But yeah, I would find companies that are high on customer service, and are able to serve your needs as they come up.
And have the right investors.
True. That's and that's if you're going obviously looking at startups. Obviously, if you're looking at the bigger players or you're playing with the bigger players, you just got to keep an eye on what the landscape looks like on M&A, I think. But yeah.
I like that tip. So, but I also like our investors at my company. So, I really like it.
Well, you guys have a track record there, Alex. You got a track record. You're looking at someone who's entrepreneurial and knows how to build a company and has done it. I think that there's, and from a dealer perspective, if you're a dealer principal and you have money to play, I mean, there's all sorts of companies looking for a level of investment money too, and there are private equity firms, venture capital firms that facilitate that too, that have funds set up specifically for car dealers to invest in new technologies. So and then it gives you a say in the future and development and window into what's coming. So.
Well, guys, this has been a good show, Cliff, as usual. Despite what you think. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, Leslie, I didn't say Vista wasn't the right investor.
Oh, Chris will always push and push and push. Try to.
What I'm saying,
that's why we like him.
I saw it. I was speaking at a conference quite a few years ago and made a comment. I was talking about Asbury, and someone in the audience thought I said Asbury was getting sold, and I had several text messages from people in Atlanta at Asbury who weren't at the conference by the time I went off stage, ripping me. And I'm like, that's not what I said. But
oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, I'm also laughing at Bill Playford's comment. He called you Che Guevara. It's got to be the green hat.
I wear a baseball cap every day now. I don't.
Well, we say happy holidays, everybody.
Yep.
Right around the corner.
Yep. Well, happening now. Happy Hanukkah. So.
Yeah, really.
Yep. Is Hanukkah going on now? I thought it just ended, didn't it?
Well, close.
Okay.
But if we say happy Hanukkah, I think we got to say all of them now. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep. And do you say Merry Kwanzaa or Happy Kwanzaa?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Just take it in the spirit in which it's given, which is I hope it's a wonderful holiday.
There you go. As all of them. Yep.
Did we even say Christmas, Merry Christmas yet? I think we skipped it.
No, I definitely threw out a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
Yep. And there's got to be some sort of pagan holiday we're missing.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, and from us as well, Happy New Year. Hope everyone has one hell of a hangover the next day and celebrates it right, at least as best you can.
And we'll be back the week after that.
That's right.
Good deal.
Thank you, Cliff.
All right, Cliff. Thank you so much, man.
Yes. You guys take care.
All right.